Okay, wow, that's big. Maybe a little bit bigger than I wanted. Maybe they're going a little faster than I wanted, but regardless, it works. Okay. Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. It is really weird to hear actual sounds when I play this game now. Last week, I did audio stuff. There are sound effects in this game, both ambient background noises of like insects and stuff, and also when you click buttons and when you plant down towers, and when you send in waves and the tower shoots bullets at enemies. There's audio in this game. Today I am going to be doing something that I have been similarly procrastinating for quite a while, and that is going to be the subject of particle effects. This is going to be the start of hopefully making this game look a little bit less programmer arty. So you're all getting through, aren't you? Alright, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be actually playing this game right now. I'm going to be adding particle effects. I'm not going to go overboard on it, but I do want to have something happening particle-wise when you, for example, hit a foe with a bullet, or when a foe is on fire, or that sort of thing. So Game Maker, as you're probably aware, does not have a built-in 3D particle system, but fortunately, a very smart person named the Snitter, as I've mentioned him a couple times during the course of these videos, has made a 3D particle system for Game Maker. He has in fact made a lot of 3D things for Game Maker. And I am going to be using it in this game for the sake of particle effects. You can see a little demo of some of the things that it can do here. I've wanted for a while to make videos on this, but I have yet to do that. I will not be spending too much time talking about like the basics of this 3D particle system and how it works. I do want to make videos on this at some point in the future, during which time I will go into much greater depth on it. But for now, if you're interested in this sort of thing, I will have a link to this page in the video description, and also possibly some other information about it. Anyway, I have let's see, I have the spart 3D particle system demo project open here. I am going to be using this as my workspace for creating 3D particles. This is a quick overview of what it looks like. You can scroll through some of the other demos. You can have 3D objects serving as particles in addition to just sprites. You can have multiple things going on with your particles at once, simulating something like a fire effect. This is possibly a little bit more complicated than I really want to have. Let's see, rockets. Do these explode and emit secondary particles? They do. Anyway, I've gone and made myself an empty scene. This is where I'm going to be sort of working out of. Let's see. Instead of just having a stream of multicolored alpha additive blended particles going off, I am going to have something that's more like a I don't know, probably like a puff of dust. I'm going to be doing a couple different things. So let me go and create myself a sprite. Let's see. This can have an origin set to the center. I'm going to probably make this sprite like 16 by 16 or maybe 32 by 32. Like this. Does Game Maker have a tool that will let me just like draw a hexagon? A polygon tool? Not really. Okay, this is sort of like an octagon. This is basically the extent of my artistic abilities. Yes, it did take me this long to make the shape. Anyway, we are going to use that as our starting point. I'm just going to call this, let me give it a name. Alright, SPR particle main, that'll do it. And if I were to go into demo 9, which is my test area, I can configure this particle a little bit. So if I was to use SPR particle main for this particle instead, does this have to be on its own separate texture page? I don't think it does. I always can change this sprite to be on its own separate texture page. Okay, so here we have a bunch of hexagonal sprites just emanating from the ring. So I can play with this. I'm going to make this instead of just rising into the air and instead of emanating from a ring, I'm going to, I think, have it like originate from a point. What are the possible particle shapes? There is cube, cylinder, sphere. All right, I guess cube is probably the most like efficient to calculate, just because it's the most basic shape. X scale, Y scale, Z scale, I can make that like 16, 16, and 16. Linear distribution doesn't really matter because it's effectively going to be coming from a point, and that should be my emitter shape. A long time ago, I made a 2D particle demo program for GameMaker, and at some point I do want to make something similar for 3D particles for the spart system, but that day is not today. You are like... The particles are flying that way now instead of up in the air. Actually, you know what? All right, never mind. Oh, they're being programmed to do that. Okay. Also, just because this is suddenly annoying me much more than I expected it to, can I set the default game speed to 60 frames per second? Is it in the main options? Anyway, first, let me play with the colors. I want this to be like some sort of like rocks breaking into pieces effect when the pebbles hit the foes. So let me start off by setting set size by commenting out the set size lines so that they're not quite as big. Set life is fine. Orientation, speed, direction, color. Color is going to be like the blending color effectively. So let me change this to C brown. Is there a C brown built into GameMaker? Let me just... 004B96. Because GameMaker's byte order for colors is reversed of what you see when you pick a color from a color picker. The alpha can be 1, and I don't really want its color or alpha to change at any point. Let me start with this. Also, set blending can be not alpha blending. That can be regular additive blending rather. That can just be regular blending. Okay, so now we have a stream of particles. They're flying off in this direction. Okay. I'm going to make them shoot straight up in the air rather than off at an angle, and I'm also going to, I think, have them burst instead of stream. So the direction can be, instead of 1, 0, 2, it can be like 0, 0, 1, just normal vector straight up in the air. Angle variation, we can give it a little more angle variation than that, perhaps 45 degrees. Radial, I don't remember what that argument does. Set sprite, set life, set speed, set direction. Setting radial to true modifies the starting direction to point away from the center. Okay, I'll just leave that alone. Next, let's see, set gravity. The force of gravity is currently 0, so gravity is not acting on these particles. The X direction, Y direction, Z direction, that's correct. Let me just give this like 0.1 or so, and this should make them have a downwards tilt like that. Okay, maybe a little bit stronger than that. Maybe like 0.25, and that should make them fall down. That doesn't really look like gravity is pulling on them all that much more strongly. Let's see, set life, that is how long the particles last on the screen. That is something I'm fine with. Orientation, that doesn't really matter because it's so small to begin with. Set speed, direction, color, we established that. What if I make the gravity 1? What if I make the gravity much stronger? I feel like that hasn't really changed it. Get position taking into account time, speed, gravity, all that sort of thing. Let's see, get position. Return time times the direction times the speed plus time. So that's just calculating how far the particle has traveled, plus gravity. I don't think there should be any, pretty sure that code is correct. Alright, whatever, I'll just work around it. So, let me shorten the lifespan of these particles a little bit. Let me make it like half of what that is. I just want, like I said, a small burst of particles whenever something gets hit by a pebble. All right, that's fine. Instead of saying part emitter.stream, I should be able to create a burst at any given position. So that's going to be dot burst, the part type, and it's going to take a number and dynamic, which I'm going to want that to be true. For the most part, spart mirrors GameMaker's built-in particle systems, but there are a couple differences, notably because these are completely deterministic particles. If you poke through the shader, you can see that it's all done in the shader. The position and color and direction and everything of the particles is completely deterministic. The simulation will run the same every time, at least given the same inputs. And that means it's pretty fast, but it does sometimes and that means that the system is pretty fast, but it doesn't easily do things such as like bursting, creating bursts of particles. So in, for example, the step event, I can inherit the event. What's the parent event look like? Okay, that's just setting the camera matrix. Okay. In here, if you hit the space bar, I'm going to have the particle system just burst a couple particles. This is going to be part emitter dot burst. That's going to take the part type, and it's going to take a number. 300 is fine. Dynamic is going to be true. Will this mean that I cannot burst particles more than once? So that's you. All right, it is indeed letting me continue bursting particles. All right. Very nice. So 300 is a bit much. Probably not going to see me creating more than like 50 particles at a time anywhere. But this should be good enough for when like a bug gets hit by a bullet of some sort. Let's see. Okay, I think that's all I want out of this demo program. Next, I'm going to go and actually import spart into Bombardier and commit that and just like run it to make sure that the whole thing doesn't explode in my face. Let's see. Anything else I want to mess with? Gravity, color, direction. Not super concerned with orientation, like I said, but setting the orientation is fine, honestly. I'm also going to need to actually add the octagon sprite to Bombardier. So let me go to Marketplace. Let me just search for spart. Let me load this into this game. Do I need included files? Not really. Those are just the... Oh, there's a manual for spart in PDF form. That's convenient. I'll look at that later. And there's also dragon.obj. I don't need the included files. I just need scripts, shaders, and I don't think I need the WIP content. All right, so let me import spart. Again, let me just make sure that the game runs, which it should. There shouldn't be any like issues with conflicting resource names or anything like that in the spart extension versus in mine. This is going to take a while because there are quite a few shaders. It's also taking longer to build games now that yeah, the game runs. It's also taking longer to build games now that I have a bunch of audio in the game. And all right, so the basic temple tower can get through the first wave without trouble. Now that there's a bunch of audio in the game and GameMaker has to like package those into the distributable as well. Anyway, let's see. Added spart. I do want to go and take a look at that user manual though. I was not actually aware that he had added a user manual. That's going to be in data files, spart, and the PDF right here. What's this dragon look like? feel like the built-in Windows 3D object viewer should not be taking nearly that long to open just a simple 100 kilobyte 3D object, but alright, that's the dragon. Very cool. It's a hexapodal. This is the manual, alright, and it is fairly extensive. Alright. I hope someday that I can write documentation as nice looking as this. All right. So let me clone all of this, and it's probably going to get a lot messier than this at some point. I'm going to take this, copy it into the game section. Actually, you know what? I have a singleton for game. I really do not want to stuff any more data into the game singleton. I'm going to create myself a script. This is going to be the particle system group. I can make myself a global variable called particles, and let me just create myself a singleton. A new one of these. This is number of arguments for function spart, system expected 0, got 1. Why? That's the constructor. It's definitely the correct number of arguments. Alright, whatever. So, let me indent that to make sure that this is working. Show, debug, message. Also, by the way, just so that I don't have to use the global prefix every time, let's pretend this is a global variable. And let's just see if anything appears in the console. Global variable name, spart vertex batch map index not set before reading it. Okay. That means that I'm depending on like the order in which things are initialized. Fine. We can initialize this manually, like after everything else has been created. Like that. I love depending on the order of creation code. By that I mean I don't like it at all. Oh, it's saying the sprite is not set before reading it. Was that yeah, that wasn't the same error as before, but I do need to go and add the sprite, which I believe is going to be SPR particle main. That's going to be this little PNG with a big old gross UUID. SPR part main. That'll do it. Fine, part ickle. And that should make that recognized. Okay. Okay, so the game runs. Was there any message in the console? No, because I did not, like, tell it to put anything in the console. Let's just have it print out, like, the index of the part type or something like that. Actually, that's not going to be index. That's going to be a struct, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, it appeared. Good. Particle system's being initialized. So that's worthy of a commit. I'm going to naturally be having more particle types than just this one, so I'm probably going to want to give it a better name. Let's see. Part system. I should probably give this a name too. Part system hit effects, for example. Part type. This can be part type. Let's say stone, debris. Is that too long? Am I realistically going to want to be typing that out constantly? Probably not. This, by the way, you can with structs. You are allowed to use with the with statement. You could also use a dot operator, so you could instead say part type stone debris dot set sprite, and then the same thing like dot set life and so on and so forth. This is just, I'm going to leave this alone because this is how Sindra Larson did it. And also because, honestly, invoking a bunch of methods on the same structure, the dot operator, constantly gets a little bit tedious to type out, and the with statements is honestly fine. Dropping the open curly brace onto the second line isn't, though, really. Seriously, who does that? Okay. And the part emitter, this can be part emitter. I'm probably, it's generally advisable, and can I, reopen this? It's generally advisable to create a new emitter for every, like, effect that you want, right? So if I were to, emitter create, doesn't say. Alright, well, that's fine. I'll just say this is going to be part emitter stone debris. And we can set the region. Actually, I will not be setting the region right now. I will be setting the region when something actually takes a hit. Let's see. That would be in, I believe, entity bullet. Core stuff, gameplay, entity bullet. When this makes contact with something. Let's see, there's an on-hit method. Okay. Birds, bug spray, flypaper, these are all the different bullet types. Okay, so I'm fine putting this code in the on-hit, in the update method, really, for the bullets. Let's see. I'm going to want to set the region for this emitter, and this is going to be basically the location of fo.position.xyz. No rotation, no scale. Scale is kind of... The way this is a little weird. The scale has to be built in separately outside of the transform matrix. Otherwise, it'll not work. I haven't poked through this, I haven't poked through the code that like determines how the emitters and stuff works in enough detail to know exactly why it behaves weirdly if you try to mush the scale into the matrix. But regardless, we can set the region here, and we can burst. What is it? Part type dot part type stone debris. I think I said the number was going to be 50, and dynamic should be true. Okay. This is going to make something happen when enemies take hits. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be what I want. Let's see. We jump in here. Once you run the game for the first time, it does go much faster with the build process, because it doesn't have to recompile shaders and repackage the audio and all that. Let's see. And we do not see any particle effects happening. That is not ideal. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm not actually drawing this or updating it or anything, am I? You know what? That would do it. Let me comment this out just in case that'll make things extremely weird. Okay. Wow. Okay. Good job, Dragonite. Show parent event. There is no update. Okay, so it just automatically updates in the draw event. So part system.draw. Okay. Yeah, always draw particles last because it's alpha testing and other such annoyances. I'm going to give particles like just its own method that just draws all emitters. Render, because that's my terminology function. This is going to need to be part system hit effects dot draw. It is dot draw, and then it takes the time step. The parameter is the time steps, which is probably going to be your frame time. At 30 FPS, that'll be 33 milliseconds. At 60 FPS, that'll be 16. Dot draw. Game get speed. Game speed, microseconds divided by 1,000 to convert it to milliseconds. Actually, no, it needs to be divided by 1,000,000 to convert it to seconds, because otherwise they'll be going haywire. Okay, let's try this now. The particle system is actually not being drawn because I'm not actually calling this method anymore. I'm good. Okay, wow. Where's the general render method of the game as a whole? That needs to go here. Like that. Okay. Now it should draw. Anyway, as I was saying, this video might go on for a little while because I do want to get as much particle stuff done as I can in a single video. I don't know how realistic of a goal that is. Okay, wow, that's big. Maybe a little bit bigger than I wanted. Maybe they're going a little faster than I wanted, but regardless, it works. Okay. Hi. All right. So let me first commit this so we can the particle system exists. And then I'm going to go and make this actually look a little bit better. And then I'm going to go and make it so that I don't have to type out all of this anytime I want to instantiate particles. Let's see. Let's get it to look the way I want. So we can set size, and I'm gonna make the size like maybe a little smaller. Can I make this like 32? Actually, min size maybe should be smaller, maybe like 16 to 32. The size speed, so how fast it's changing, size acceleration. Did we establish what these second two arguments do? We did not, but I don't think I can just omit them, so I won't. Hopefully, and they'll still be flying off into space really fast, but hopefully they'll at least maybe be smaller. In fact, that made them even bigger. Can I say like 1 and 1.5? Is this a scale factor? Is this a scale factor or not world space units? Alright, that's actually small, so maybe like 3 to 5 or something. I can also, I think we've established that set speed can be somewhat smaller, maybe like 100 to 120. Once again, I don't know what the units for this are, but I'm hoping that about a third of the default speed is going to look better. Okay, so they're lasting a little bit long. I can bump down the life to maybe like 0.4 to 0.5. Still moving a little fast. Actually, are they? Let's see if it looks better when they're not moving as fast. Another problem I'm noticing is that the origin, although this will honestly be rectified once I'm not drawing sprites for the foes, but the origin of the particle effects is like not at the base of at the middle of the foe. It's not centered on the foe. Maybe I could bump up the height a little bit. It's originating in the corner. Let's see. I'm gonna have so many temporary files for GameMaker on my computer after this. Alright, that looks better. I'm still gonna tweak the orientation though. Set orientation, I mean the direction. Angle variation can be like, let's make it something much larger, like 75. Speed, actually life, we can decrease the lifespan. 1/4 of a second to 35/100ths of a second. We can increase the speed a little bit. Maybe like 160 to 200, and is that going to be it? I also do want to use an actual color constant for the brown color. I don't want to just leave that as a random hard-coded hex code forever. Alright, let's actually decrease the lifespan farther still. Other than that, I think this is satisfactory. Maybe the amount of particles that it bursts is a little bit high. If I were to run this on the Raspberry Pi, I'm sure this would not do kind things to the performance. It may be worth implementing another setting in the game for, like, particle density. It looks a bit weird when they just die like that. I still feel like they're moving a bit fast. If I were to set color, I can have them fade out like this. This is going to have basically three, the first 2/3 of the particle's lifespan is going to be brown with an alpha of 1, and at the end of the particle's lifespan it's going to be brown with an alpha of 0. So maybe having them fade out will make them look a little bit better. I know I'm being very, very fussy about this. Something about this bothers me. I'm not sure what it is. Is this the last waypoint in the map? They're disappearing when they reach here. Hang on, wait. Editor mode, where are the path nodes? Oh, this is the last waypoint in the map. Okay. That's maybe not something that I had intended. Okay, I thought they were disappearing early. Did I accidentally delete some waypoints? If I were to F1 to save... God, where does this project live? It should just be in my GameMaker projects file. Data files, maps, level 1. Okay. That didn't save all the junk on the screen, did it? Huh, when it saves, it deletes the last waypoint. Interesting. That's a bug. That's a high priority bug, I think. When the level... It's not the most crippling bug, because I can always just add in the last waypoint again, however many have been deleted, but it's annoying nonetheless. Alright, well, I'm gonna stop fussing with the generic hit effect, particle effect now. Let's see, fix the bug in the level. Can I just pretend that commit isn't there? I'm gonna do that. The generic hit particle effect is nicer now. I said I would organize this a little bit better. I'm gonna say systems is going to be a struct, and there's going to be a couple things inside the struct. Hit effects can be one. Types can be another one. Types dot. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What am I doing? Like this, and then with types dot stone debris, and we can define it. Emitters are going to be similar. Emitters are going to be a struct. If I need to create multiple emitters, I will, but I actually don't know if I'll have to, because it looked like the system was handling multiple bursts. Fairly correctly. Let's see. Part system systems dot hit effects dot draw. All references to that system should be updated. And here, particles dot emitters dot stone debris dot set region. Alright, that's somewhat less typing. I'd still like to have a, and I said I would bump down the amount of particles that spawn. Where was I? That's still a little bit of a longer line of code than I would like. So I might like write write a wrapper function that'll just allow me to burst a bunch of particles at a location from an emitter, but that can come after I run the game again, because I want to see that I haven't done anything catastrophically wrong so far. Send something in. Boy, now I feel like the particles actually should be bigger. Like, now that there are fewer of them, I feel like the particles should be bigger. Oh well. We can do that. Let's go from like 4 to 8 or so. I have a feeling clamp min and clamp max are for if the particles change size over the duration of the simulation. You would want to constrain them to a particular size, but I don't know for sure. Alright, next wave. Okay, that's not bad. I can live with that. Now, since I did say this is probably going to be a common thing that I want to do is burst particles from an emitter, I can say static burst from emitter is going to be a function taking an emitter, taking an x, y, z, and taking an amount. And this can say emitter dot set region. The matrix is going to be matrix build identity. No, it's not going to be build identity. It's going to be matrix build x, y, z, 0 rotation, 1 on the scale, 1 on the scale again. The shape, spart, shape, I think I said cube. The distribution is part distribution linear. That's just a built-in constant. Oh, there's also a mirror built-in constant, which just maps to the existing PS distribution linear. And dynamic is going to be true. Next, emitter dot burst is going to take the type. Oh, I also need to specify the type, don't I? Type. The number is going to be amount, and dynamic is going to be true. Right? That's correct, isn't it? Oh, I had dynamic on the emitter set to false. Okay. Don't know if that matters in this case, but I'll just follow the directions as they were. So this is going to mean that I can say particles.burst from emitter. And it can take an emitter, which is going to be this. It can take a type, which is going to be this. It can take an XYZ, which is going to be the XYZ, and it can take an amount, which is going to be just 32. This, furthermore, I can a little bit nicely, if I have a setting for particle density later, I can just pass in the default value for the particle density to the burst from emitter function method, and inside there I can have the game scale down the amount. I can say amount times particle density or something. Okay, this should work. How long have I been recording? I've been recording for 50 minutes already. This is going to be a long one, I can tell. Okay, I was hoping to have more than one particle type set up before the end of this video. Alright, it works as intended, and I only had to write this one line of code in order to get this working. That is fine. Let's see. Organize particle system a bit. Alright, that should make it a little bit easier to use. Next, let's see. If we are on fire, and this is going to be a little bit difficult because this is something that might be a something more akin to a stream of particles rather than just a burst. As I mentioned, this system, since it's deterministic and since it's done entirely in the shader, it does not really super well handle things like moving emitters and changing particles in dynamic ways over time. So I think what I'll do instead is when a foe takes damage from fire, where would that be? That would be an entity foe status burn. So when you actually take damage from fire, like in here, I think I would just have a small burst of more particles. And by small, I mean like 1 or 2, or maybe up to 3 or 4. Probably not more than that. I might have it on an interval too, maybe like every couple seconds. All right, so let me design something like this. I'm going to go back over here into the particle test. I'm going to go back to creating my my particle type and size. Let's see, set gravity. I think I want that to be disabled. Set color. What's the hex color code for orange? Does GameMaker have it built in? GameMaker does have an orange built in. It's probably kind of gross looking, but we'll run with it for now. See orange. That's not that bad. That's all right. I can live with that. The direction is going to be up. It's mostly going to be probably the fire is going to be going straight up in the air. Actually, you know, maybe set gravity a very small amount going up in the air, so it accelerates upwards instead of downwards. Okay. Let's see what this looks like. And this is going to, again, burst when I hit the space bar. Alright. This is a situation where maybe having alpha blending turned on may be maybe advantageous. Alright, I like alpha blending on. And if I completely spam the space bar, I will have these particles live for a very short amount of time too. Between 1/10 and 1/4 of a second. I will burst fewer of them. Like I said, maybe more like 4 or 5, or even less than that every time I hit the space bar. Can I zoom in? No, not really. Okay, that's decent. That looks a little bit like a flame flickering. Okay. Let's take this one over. Bombardier particle system. Fire. It's going to be a new spart type. I can say with types.fire. Do all this. I think I will use the same sprite size. Like that. Life is fine, orientation is fine, speed, direction, color, gravity, and blending. Okay. Let's see. Next, burst from emitter. Oh, there's, you know what? Why is there unexpected syntax error? Am I missing punctuation somewhere? Oh, semicolon instead of a comma. And that should make all the red marks go away. There we go. So while you're on fire, I will just say particles that burst from emitter. And this is going to be more or less continuous. Hit effects, sure. Stone debris. Fire. I may want another emitter for fire. Not sure yet. Let's hardcode that to 4. And if something is on fire, then it will, it should have a trail of fire emanating from behind it. So let me send in wave. Are you able to, like, burn things automatically? That crashed. Oh, you know what? That's because, this should be self-position. It's trying to have, it's trying to have fire flames emanating from this thing, but we're a couple steps ahead, at least. All right, send in. Okay, that's a bit extreme. Yeah, let's definitely... And I'm glad to see that this is not too bad. I unironically love this. It's terrible, but I love it. I think that trumps having the status icon. Oh my god. I'm glad to see that this isn't really affecting the performance of the game. It's having a little bit of an effect on the FPS reel, but it's percentage-wise it's not very much, and I think I will, let's say, reduce that down to 2. I will also slow down the fire. Let's see, there's a couple changes that I need to make here. Let's see, set size, let's make you... Let's give you a bigger variation in size, yeah, 2 to 8. Set life, it can be a little bit longer than this. Set color, I'm going to, once again... I'm going to have it fade out towards the end, and gravity. I think maybe it doesn't need to go that fast in the upwards direction. I think maybe... Oops, don't set speed to 1. I think maybe the existing speed is fine. Okay, so let us plop down another fire shooter. Let us maybe have it a little bit more tame than that, and not have it look like the ant turned into a blowtorch. See, that's... I like that. I like that. It's still a little bit much, but I like that. I think it'll look a lot better when we have something that's actually like a 3D object that vaguely looks like an ant on screen. Can I send in everything at once and just build a bunch of fire towers? I really just want to completely go to town on the fire. And as fun as it is, I also want to see how it performs. Speaking of performing, I am losing badly. Okay, that's cool. If I retry, the fire emitters don't stay there, which is good. They only actually do that when something takes damage. Okay, I'm okay with this. I still want to make them a little bit smaller. Maybe let's say size 1.5 to like 4, shrinking the flames yet more. Instead of bursting 2 particles per frame that's rendered, I think I will only have it burst 1. I have a feeling expecting this to run on the Raspberry Pi isn't realistic. Unless you, like, completely turn the particles off. Yeah, alright. That's better. And I also, I feel better about not drawing the bad fire icon now as well. Alright, I'm gonna do something similar for poison. Let's see. First, let's commit this. This is going to be added on fire particles. This is actually going... It's taking longer than I expected, but this is going better than I expected. I was expecting to have to spend, like, a lot of time fussing with how things looked and still not being satisfied with it by the end. But I like how the fire works, at least. And when the foes actually die, when they take damage, do they burst the... Oh no, this is only when a bullet collides with something. Never mind. All right, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's have something similar for poison. I'm going to draw myself another sprite for poison. I'm going to have SPR part poison or something. SPR, that's a shader. SPR particle poison. Actually, let's just call it bubble. Because this is a generic bubble that could work for multiple purposes. Let us set the size to 32 by 32. And I'm going to... Can particles choose a random sprite frame? They can. Okay, particles can choose a random sprite frame. So I can have multiple particle designs for each of these. I'm going to just let me grab like a purple here. And this is just going to be like the border. Actually, let's have a darker purple. Let's have this one. Let's have this purple. Okay, I've zoomed in the camera. This looks a little bit on the weird side, I'm going to be honest. The color is fine, but again, I feel like they're moving too fast. I feel like they are not living long enough, so let's seriously extend the lifetime a little bit. Maybe 1 to 1.5. Speed can be something more like... Can we divide it by like 5? Like that. And the color, again... Let's have them fade out over the last third of their lifespan. Alright, that might be a little bit too slow. There's too many of them. There's definitely too many of them. I want maybe one per second, per update rather. Speed. There's a bit of design wisdom, game design wisdom, that when you're testing values, and you're not, until you have it really narrowed down to what you want them to be, you should either like double the value or cut it in half. You shouldn't bother moving it in small increments until you're really close to what you want your final value to be. Alright, I think they can still be a little bit faster than that, but... Actually, how would this look with additive blending enabled? Let's only change one parameter at a time. That's not bad. Additive blending for this works too, I think. Okay. Again, I think their speed is a little bit on the low side. Maybe let's increase it by a little bit. Okay, that looks poisonous enough, I think. So, let's see. I am going to want to add the particle bubbles to this game. Like so. I am going to, I think, import... Can I drag and drop files straight into the sprite editor to add them? I cannot. Okay. Not what I wanted. I'm gonna have to import these the long way then. Image, add frame. Nope, that wasn't it. Alright. That was fun. This can be poison, new spart type. Then we can configure the poison type. And we can say with types.poison. The particle type is going to be the bubble. And I will copy and paste the rest of the parameters from the test scene. Something like this. Speed, direction, gravity is commented out, and okay. Let's see. In entity fo, the same way that as when you take burn damage, you're going to emit some fire particles. Let's have you instead emit some poison particles. 1 per frame. And let's see what this looks like. So I do also want the bug spray. These clouds are really ugly. That's very much programmer art. When the bug sprayer sprays out some bug spray, I do want this to just be a cloud of particles as well as... not sure if I'm a fan of the... Not sure if I'm a fan of the additive particles. Anyway, I do want particles to slowly rise from this as well, instead of yeah, that really looks weird. They're also too dense, instead of having those ugly like bubbles. So let me turn off additive blending for this. Additive blending can be false. Also, if possible, can I emit less than 1 per frame? Can I like okay, so I can't search this nicely. Emitter destroy, emitter create, emitter retire, mature, region, stream. Where's emitter burst? Is emitter burst not documented? Anyway, can I set this to like 0.25 to have one particle spawned every quarter frame or something like that? Is that going to work? If not, I can just have it like emit particles on a timer instead of bursting them continuously. It seems that it bottoms out at 1 per frame. Okay. If let's say I random 4 equals 1. So if you roll a random number between 0 and 4, if that number equals 1, then spawn a particle. There is a 1 in 5 chance that that will happen. Alright, that's better. The shade of purple I feel like could be a little bit lighter without being additively blending, but that's an easy fix. For that, I can go to purple hex code, and you know what? W3 schools to the rescue. There's an entire palette here. So right now it's like, maybe not that dark, but about this dark. Maybe if I were to make it more like this, or even a little bit more, more like this. All right, the color code is going to be FF6699. 0xFF6699 is that hex code. I've been recording for 1 hour 15 minutes now. This is definitely going to be on the longer side. Let's see. I may have something similar to burn when the magnifying glass is focused on not bug's nest bug spray. I may have something similar to the burn fire effect when the magnifying glass is focused on a target. Okay, you know what I don't like is I don't like the secondary particles, like the secondary transparencies here. No thank you, just go with the solid color. I think it's the color that bothers me less than the fact that like some of the bubbles were transparent and others not. Especially when they start to fade towards the end of their lifetime. Yeah. All right, I think that's better. All right, I like that a lot better. I can commit poison effects next. Since I said just a minute ago, you know what? Before I forget, because I keep like starting to think this and then I get distracted by something else and then I forget. But in here, if you speed up the game, the particle system will still play its simulation at the same speed as if you don't speed up the game. So I think I will. Where is the game speed? Where is that defined? What variable is that? Initialize game on just okay. So it's just game.game speed. We're going to multiply this value by game.game speed. And that should have, if you're, if you have the speed up button pressed, this should allow the particle system to play its simulation at twice the speed, like that. Okay. It looks weird like that. I like it better at normal speed, but it's obeying the laws of like playing at the correct speed. So, all right. If I were to poison something, when things are burned and poisoned, I bet that's gonna look pretty awesome. And by awesome, I mean chaotic. Alright, particles for everybody. Wonderful. So that's that. Particle simulation speed accounts for game speed. Alright, that is behaving as I am intending it. Next. Let's see, where is the poison? I mean the burn. The burn is here. So I'm going to basically do the same thing when the magnifying glass tower over here burns a target. Like this. And we would like the target photos position to be used. And we would like to run the game. And hopefully this is just a one line of code update that makes everything look the way that it should. It might be worth adding a little bit of variation to the design of the... Yeah, alright, that actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think I'll fiddle with it anymore. Just for the sake of not making it look like I'm blatantly recycling code or anything like that, I might, like in my own time, I might just tweak either the burn particles or the magnifying glass burn particles at a later point. But I don't know. I won't do that on recording anyway. Ooh, everything's getting through. Okay, I was hoping to see what happens when... Yeah, game over. I was hoping to see what happens when the magnifying glass gets upgraded and the burn effect is applied permanently. I think that's rank 3. I think that's like the rank 3 ability. Alright, never mind. I do not feel like trying to solo a level with a magnifying glass. I did notice, however, another bug, which is, if I can go back to this bug board, if you game over, or I assume if you were to like quit the game and go back to the menu while a magnifying glass is in action, the burn sound effect, the magnifying glass hiss, will continue for about a second until the sound stops playing. I want it to stop playing immediately. That shouldn't be a hard fix. It's a very minor issue. You probably wouldn't even notice unless you're listening for it. But that's caused by this here. There is no audio stop sound if some condition, such as like the game ends while it's playing. It's only if it's not burning anything that it stops automatically. All right. Anyway, did I commit that change? This is particle effects while the magnifying glass scorches something. I also would like, I mentioned this, the poison. How about an entity bullet? Is there... The spray clouds are their own thing. Okay, entity bullets. Do these have a render method? They do. So, I am going to completely override this thing's render method. And I'm not going to draw I'm not going to draw the cloud, which is good because that's hideous. Instead, I'm going to do something more like this. Maybe with the like random chance of it actually happening too, because I don't want a bunch of them to be spawning. But instead of bursts from emitter, because I don't want them all emanating from the same point, I do want them to be emanating from like a radius. I'm going to create myself another version of that same method in the particle system. So let me see. Bug spray. All right. Yeah, see, this isn't bad, but I want them to... Boy, you really can tell that they don't last very long when they're like this. I want them to have a bigger spread than that. All right. Let me... Particle system, burst from emitter. Let's say size. Or how about radius? Emitter type XYZ, radius, amount. The radius is going to go into the scale. Part of that set region call. The shape is going to be, instead of a cube, this will be a sphere. I want it to originate from around the sides of a sphere, and that should... Oh, no, wait, I'm not actually using that anymore. The radius needs to be... How about, what, 16 is probably a good radius? I think that's still a little bit smaller than the poison cloud models actually are. but I would rather have it look like it's smaller and it actually be bigger. That way, when the player is surprised, they're surprised in their favor. All right, that's not bad. All right, I can live with this. Now that I have this, I kind of want to have something like a jet moving from the nozzle of the spray can to the target of the where the spray ends up. But I think that might be a task for another day. Oh, that's satisfying. Okay, now I really, I wanted to before, but now I really want better models for both the towers and the foes, because when the particles are here, it's really even more glaringly obvious than it was before how bad these models that I made are. So that'll be I'll do that eventually. Let's see, particle. Emit from radius for poison clouds. Let's see, there's a couple other housekeeping items that I can do. One is I no longer need to load that horrific model for the, where's the bullet data? Bullet bird, bullet spray. I no longer need to load this horrendous model for this bullet because we are no longer going to be using it, so I can just set that to -1. I can actually go into the data files, go into this folder, and just get rid of the bug spray.d3d because we don't need to spend time parsing that model file. We don't need to spend time loading it. We don't need to spend storage space. It's only 38 kilobytes, so it's not a ton of storage space, but we don't need it like at all. So let's delete that. I think that will probably honestly not make any noticeable difference, but it'll make me happy because it's not there anymore. Yeah, no noticeable difference. All right, and that's worthy of another commit, I suppose. Remove the old bug spray model. There's also the matter of, I no longer need the status icons of on the user interface. I no longer need the status icons of the burn or the poison. I still don't have any visual indication of slow. Not sure how I'll do that. I might leave that to be a problem for future me, but let's see, where is SPR status burn processed? Anywhere in code? Okay, let me comment out these, and let me delete these sprites. Actually, I won't comment that out. There's realistically no chance that I'll ever go back to that. Okay. Once if I'm able to figure out a visual way to communicate flypaper, I will just get rid of that. I will just get rid of those status icons entirely. I will just get rid of that system. I wish I thought of this, like, before when I was doing this, because I remember this seemed to take a while, and if I could have saved that time and video and your time and video, I would have preferred to, but anyway, those status icons are gone. If I were to plop down a flypaper dispenser, yeah, especially with the poison bubbles, you can definitely see that the particle simulation speed is affected by the game speed. You guys, okay, so the splotchiness is definitely still being drawn. Okay. I'm okay with that. I can say I got rid of got rid of the really bad status icon graphics. Let's see, what else? So some of the other bullets, when they deliver a hit, they don't burst a particle or anything. I think I would still like, for example, the bird tower to do this when the birds hit something. Spray cloud, that's been taken care of mostly. Bird, flypaper. Maybe I'll make like a squishy looking... Alright, I'm sort of picturing something. Hang on. deal with the birds first. So when the birds damage a foe, we will have them burst some of the generic damage particles. And I'm thinking perhaps when foes die, they will also just burst some particles. Like, I don't know, red blood. Is that too like violent? Where's birds? Birds. Okay, that's a bit of a big burst. I feel like that's a bit much. Maybe I'll emit like half of that number of particles. Is this damage being applied continuously? I don't think it is. Each of the birds has a cooldown. This is also satisfying for some reason. Alright, well, the purpose of this video is not for me to sit here and just watch the gameplay. The purpose of this video is for me to lower the number of particles that are bursted from a bird, and hopefully it won't be quite as overpowering as it looked before. Let's see. That's the wrong one. I did not want that. Birds. Birds? Do I not... I don't have enough money. Alright, the game is bugged. I don't know exactly how I induced that one. Not entirely sure what was going on there. I'll try to figure out what that was and deal with it before the game is released on anything. And I should probably slow this down so that I can actually see. Yeah, that's better. Okay. If I were to send in everybody at once, I'm sure there would be a lot. These guys are actually holding their own as a solo tower with the entire game coming in at once. Alright. That may be worth making a note of when I balance things. Birds are a little bit too strong. Balance. Birds burst particles. Like that. And let's see, I did say when foes die, I would have something. Perhaps can I just completely recycle the stone debris effect for, like, call it death or something? And make it like see red. Would that be a bit much, making it red like blood? I'm pretty sure not all bugs even have red blood. I'm pretty sure, like, I could... Insect's blood is clear or tinged with yellow or green. Yeah, I won't actually do that because that'll just be confusing. Actually, maybe yellow would work, but I don't know. Orange, perhaps? Just something that's bright enough to catch the player's eye, but maybe isn't red. Maybe maroon. Maroon's like half red. Red equals 128, green equals 0, blue equals 0. Alright, on faux death... On faux death, we can do... something like this. And let me just build a pebble shooter that's hopefully good for taking out at least one enemy. Alright, I think... I cannot tell if it's playing. It might be just... The death effects might be getting blended in with the regular thing. The regular, splash effect. Let me build some bug spray. Apparently, oh, there we go. Run the simulation a little bit longer. Yep, it's not playing. I do not see. All right. For one, it's only emitting one. That might be a problem. How many particles do the regular towers emit when they? I want to say it's 12. I said it's 12. Where's the update method? Oh, it was in bullet, wasn't it? 12. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The density of the particles being emitted is not nearly high enough for me to actually see. Very easy for it to get lost in the chaos that way. All right. Still doesn't look like it's actually emitting anything though. Unless maroon is just too visually similar to brown. Okay, I did see it going off when the foe died to poison, so it may just be that maroon is too visually similar to brown and it's hard to see. Okay. Maybe I can catch a grasshopper dying in that way. Or one of these other things. Alright, it's still hard to see, but I do see that it's there. Okay, good enough for me. So that's particles. I think I'm going to stop now. I've been recording for 1 hour 40 minutes, which I believe is the longest single recording session for any one of these videos. I'm sure there are other places in the game where particle effects would be nice. I did say something about the slow status towers, didn't I? Okay, you know what? This is long enough already. Whoever's still watching, thank you for sitting through this all. I hope that at least a few people are enjoying this as much as I have been. I'm gonna call it glue. And what is visually similar to what I want to do? So I'm gonna make glue based on poison. And we're gonna be using bubbles. The size can be a little bit on the smaller side, on the smaller side maybe. Let's start with that. The color, see, yellow, can fade out like this. The direction that you're traveling in. How do I get you to emit, like, radially? Oh, man. It's the starting direction vector of these particles as well as an angle in degrees that defines how far the particles may deviate from the starting direction. See, that makes sense in 2D space. In 3D space, is that the dot product? Do they emit within a cone? Alright, well, if I leave the emission direction at like 0, 0, 1, but the angle variation can be something like 120. And I also want you to obey gravity slightly. Let's say 0.1. In that direction. Oh, you know, again, this isn't used. Entity, bullets, where is flypaper? Bird, flypaper is down here. On contact. Like this. Let's see. Okay, that's That's a little aggressive, but it's doing what I want. It's also a little on the small side. 2, 3 as the size instead of whatever it was before. The starting speed, I will reduce this down to like the starting speed of the poison blobs, and I still do not know what's up with gravity. As far as I can tell, like the math behind the gravity that I saw when I looked inside the shader earlier is correct. I don't know why it doesn't look like setting gravity to a stronger value is not producing the intended behavior. What if I set the initial speed to 0? Would they just fall away that way? Would the particle just sort of fall away instead of splorching up into the air? That's a word. No, they do need some starting velocity. Okay, that's... I can live with that. It may be better if... Actually, you know what? Instead of playing funny things with set direction like this, what if I angle it downwards and set the direction like that? Would that be better? I have an alternative plan that I might try out in a minute, which is instead of having this happen when you walk over the flypaper, just have it like drag out behind you like the poison does. I think I'll do that. Okay. Entity foe. If your status poison is active. Status immobilized. Status slow. Like this. Types dot glue. All right, so this is gonna be a flypaper dispenser. Hopefully this should cause. All right, so that does look a little bit. It's still a little bit weird. I think I'll reduce the lifespan. Say 1 to 2. But it's definitely getting there, and I think I can get rid of the status slow icon after this, because I think this is satisfactory enough that I won't be like bothered, and I think the player should be like reasonably certain what this is. My alternative plan for slow was to like tint the object yellow or something like that, but especially when you have like black objects, that can be a little bit weird. You would have to, I guess, no, you wouldn't have to. You could do a lerp instead of multiplying it by a color. But anyway, let's see. That is status glue. I am going to commit this. Fly paper effects emit particles. I am going to get rid of status slow, the sprite, and I'm going to get rid of the part of code where that's drawn, like all of it. Let's see. I'll leave a comment that says, if you want to draw anything above the health bar, do it there, but probably won't really be coming into play very often. Got rid of the ugly slow icon. Next, there is one more thing to do, and that is add the Heavy Metal Viking Dentist to the game's credits. If I were to go into the room, I need to update the credits page, RM_test, because the entire game takes place in RM_test. Let's see. I think maybe... Is it time to expand this a little bit? I also have been talking to a musician guy, and hopefully I should have something by way of commissioned music for this eventually before this game is done. So I will also have to add his name to the credits. I won't say too much about that now, just in case things go sideways, but hopefully that will be sorted soon enough. That's centered.
Hey.
And I can just edit this text to say... that, and I will give it an on-click method that opens up the forum post. The forum post. Where was it? It should be my my recent. I don't want the marketplace asset. I want the forum post. Here we go. All right, this should work. Also, I would totally run the game and test it on my Raspberry Pi just to see how well the particles perform on it, but I don't have the Raspberry Pi configured. I unplugged it so I could do something else with it a few weeks ago, and at this point, I don't want to spend any more time plugging it back in and configuring it and making sure the IP address is correct and everything. Anyway, I want the credits as part by the Snyder. Okay, the button looks good, and it is indeed opening the correct page. Okay, perfect. All right, that's probably the last external library I'm going to be using for anything in here. I believe there's actually still a reference to Juju's snap for struct and array parsing, but I kind of don't need that anymore now that GameMaker has built-in struct to JSON capabilities. And I was initially planning on using Scribble for text rendering, but honestly, I don't really need fancy text rendering for this game, and I think it would be a little bit overkill to implement that and basically guarantee that this will never work on HTML5. Maybe it will someday when Yo-Yo Games ever fixes their HTML5. Anyway. That's that. I'm going to end this off here. Let me go and mark this as a 0.53. Are we up to? 0.53. So if you want to see the code for this project, look for the GitHub repository down in the description of this video. Next week, I am going to do bug fixing, particularly the fact that when you go into a map that isn't the first map, the collision data is all kinds of messed up, and you can't place a tower anywhere. I would like to implement a better solution for figuring out where you can build towers, because that's kind of been annoying me, and I would like to test out the later levels in the game. After that, I'm probably going to try and just finish off the level design. I've been doing some other stuff in the meantime. It's either that or further bug fixing. As you can see, a number of other bugs have amassed, which I should probably deal with eventually. Most of which are comparatively minor. There's no, like, the game will crash if you do this, but there's various annoyances, such as things not despawning when you restart the level and that sort of thing. Apparently, I forgot to add a sound effect to one of the buttons, which someone noticed in the comments last week. Anyway, let me create a new release. This is going to be 0.53. Okay. Link to this down in the video description. Otherwise, my name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, one of these and one tutorial, starting to think about 3D collisions again. That should be up by, I think, this Saturday, assuming that I'm able to finish this video in time. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute towards these videos being made, you could see your name in the credits, hear yourself shouted out at the end, you could see a preview of my future plans, that sort of thing. Links to that in all the usual places. Otherwise, I hope you all found this interesting. I know this was a long one. They won't all be this long, I promise. And I will see you all later. Special thanks to Connor, Edward Holt, Emily Koyo, Halo Factory, Posho, Syndra Larson, Tusk, and Zenith for supporting these videos. If you want to see your name in the credits or hear yourself shouted out at the end, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.